Force yourself to be consistent. Stoic motivation to rebuild discipline. Have you ever promised yourself that tomorrow would be different? Tomorrow, you'll wake up early. Tomorrow, you'll exercise. Tomorrow, you'll stop procrastinating. Tomorrow, you'll finally become the person you've always imagined. Then tomorrow arrives, and somehow nothing changes. Not because you're incapable, not because you're lazy, but because you've fallen into the same invisible trap that keeps millions of people stuck between good intentions and meaningful action. Most people believe success belongs to those with the strongest motivation. The Stoics believed something entirely different. They believed motivation was unreliable, discipline was dependable, and consistency was the bridge between the person you are today and the person you're capable of becoming. The tragedy is that most people spend their lives waiting to feel ready before they act. They wait for confidence before taking the first step. They wait for inspiration before beginning the work. They wait for the perfect moment that never comes. Meanwhile, the people who appear disciplined aren't necessarily more talented or more intelligent. They've simply learned something that changes everything. Action comes first. Motivation follows. More than 2,000 years ago, the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote words that remain just as relevant today as they were in ancient Rome. When you struggle to leave your bed in the morning, remind yourself that you were made to do the work of a human being. He wasn't speaking only about waking up early. He was speaking about resisting the comfort that quietly steals our potential. Every day presents us with two choices. The first is easy. Stay comfortable. Delay the task. Tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. The second choice is far less appealing. Do the work anyway. Repeat it. Tomorrow. Then the day after that. Not because you feel inspired, but because you've decided that your future matters more than your present comfort. That is where discipline begins. Not with a burst of motivation, but with a decision. A decision made over and over again until it becomes part of who you are. Because the greatest obstacle standing between you and the life you want isn't a lack of ability, it's a lack of consistency. And once you understand why consistency is so difficult to build, you stop blaming yourself. You start rebuilding yourself. If you're ready to develop the kind of discipline that doesn't disappear when motivation fades, subscribe to Human Code. Every week, we explore timeless philosophy, modern psychology, and practical strategies to help you build a stronger mind and a better life. First, though, we need to uncover the real reason consistency feels so much harder than it should. The real enemy isn't laziness. If discipline is so valuable, why do so many intelligent, capable people struggle to stay consistent? The answer may surprise you. It isn't because you're lazy. It isn't because you lack willpower. And it certainly isn't because you weren't born disciplined. The real enemy is something far quieter. It's the habit of negotiating with yourself. Think about what happens the moment your alarm goes off. You don't simply decide whether to get up. You begin a conversation. 5 more minutes won't hurt. I'll start tomorrow instead. I've worked hard. I deserve a break. It sounds harmless, but these tiny negotiations slowly become your identity. Every promise you break teaches your brain something. It teaches you that your own words cannot be trusted. That's why discipline isn't just about completing tasks. It's about rebuilding trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise, even a small one, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. Every time you break one, you strengthen the version of yourself that always finds an excuse. The Stoics understood this long before psychology gave it a name. They knew that character wasn't revealed during life's biggest moments. It was shaped in the smallest decisions, repeated every single day. Modern psychology agrees. Our brains are designed to seek comfort. When a task feels difficult, your mind immediately looks for a faster reward. Scrolling your phone, watching another episode, checking social media, promising you'll start later. These choices feel insignificant, but your brain remembers them. Over time, it begins to associate discomfort with avoidance instead of action. The more often that pattern repeats, the harder consistency becomes. This is why motivation fades so quickly. Motivation is emotional. Emotions change. Some mornings you'll feel unstoppable. Others, you'll feel exhausted before your day even begins. If your actions depend on your emotions, your progress will always be unpredictable. The Stoics refused to live that way. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake each morning asking, "Do I feel like leading an empire today?" He understood that responsibility doesn't disappear simply because enthusiasm does. The same principle applies to your own life. Your goals don't care how motivated you feel. Your health doesn't improve because you intended to exercise. Your future doesn't change because you plan to begin. It changes only when your actions become stronger than your excuses. That's why consistency is less about intensity and more about repetition. One workout won't transform your body. One focused study session won't change your career. One day of discipline won't change your life. But hundreds of ordinary days, performed without negotiation, can completely reshape who you become. So perhaps the question isn't, how do I become more motivated? Perhaps the better question is, how do I stop arguing with myself every morning? Because the moment you stop negotiating, you reclaim something far more powerful than motivation. You reclaim authority over your own mind. If this message is resonating with you, take a moment to like the video. It helps more people discover these ideas, and it tells us to keep creating content that combines timeless Stoic wisdom with practical psychology. Now that we've identified the real enemy, the next step is learning how the Stoics trained themselves to act consistently, even on the days they didn't feel like it. The Stoic method for building unbreakable consistency. So how did the Stoics remain disciplined in a world filled with uncertainty, hardship, and constant pressure? They didn't rely on motivation. They built systems that made action inevitable. The first lesson is surprisingly simple. Stop waiting to feel ready. Most people believe action follows emotion. Once I feel confident, I'll start. Once I'm motivated, I'll be consistent. The Stoics turned that belief upside down. They understood that action creates emotion, not the other way around. Think about the last time you didn't feel like exercising. The hardest part wasn't the workout. It was putting on your shoes. Once you started moving, resistance began to disappear. The same is true for studying, writing, building a business, reading, meditating. The beginning always feels heavier than the work itself. This is why disciplined people don't ask, "Do I feel like doing this?" They ask, "What's the first step?" One step becomes two become 10. Before long, you've forgotten that you almost didn't begin. The Stoics believed momentum was earned through action, not thought. The longer you wait, the stronger resistance becomes. The second lesson is one modern psychology continues to confirm. Become the kind of person who always shows up. Many people focus on outcomes. I want to lose weight. I want to write a book. I want to become successful. But outcomes are distant. Identity is immediate. Instead of asking, what do I want to achieve? Ask, who do I need to become? Someone who exercises doesn't debate whether to work out. They simply train. Someone who reads doesn't negotiate with themselves every evening. They read. Their behavior isn't driven by inspiration. It's driven by identity. Every consistent action is a vote for the person you're becoming. Miss one day, nothing changes. Miss 20, and you're slowly voting for someone else. The Stoics believed excellence wasn't an event. It was a habit repeated until it became character. The third lesson may be the most uncomfortable. Make peace with discomfort. Most people spend their lives avoiding anything that feels difficult. The Stoics did the opposite. They deliberately embraced controlled discomfort because they believe comfort, when constantly pursued, weakens both the body and the mind. Seneca often wrote about voluntarily living with less, not because he enjoyed suffering, but because he wanted to prove to himself that hardship wasn't something to fear. Think about that for a moment. He wasn't training for easier days. He was training for harder ones. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're doing the same. Every early morning, every difficult conversation, Every workout you nearly skipped, every distraction you resisted. You're strengthening something invisible, your ability to trust yourself. That's why discipline feels painful at first. You're not just changing your routine. You're changing your relationship with discomfort. Eventually, what once felt impossible becomes normal. There's a powerful psychological principle hidden inside all of this. The brain learns through repetition, not perfection. You don't become disciplined because you never fail. You become disciplined because you return after failure. Missing one day doesn't destroy consistency, quitting does. The Stoics never expected perfection from themselves. They expected persistence. When Marcus Aurelius became frustrated, he didn't conclude he had failed. He reminded himself to begin again, and again. Because rebuilding yourself isn't a single decision. It's thousands of small decisions made when no one is watching. That is where real discipline is born. Not in moments of excitement, but in quiet moments when you choose to keep going anyway. If you're still watching, write the word consistent in the key comments. It's a small commitment, but sometimes small commitments are where lasting change begins. More importantly, you're reminding yourself that from today forward, consistency is no longer something you admire in other people. It's something you're choosing to build within yourself. But even with the right mindset, there's still one mistake that quietly destroys discipline for almost everyone. And until you eliminate it, consistency will always feel harder than it needs to be. The mistake that destroys discipline. There is one mistake almost everyone makes when trying to become more disciplined. Ironically, it begins with ambition. You decide your life is going to change. So you create the perfect plan. You'll wake up at 5 every morning, exercise for an hour, read 50 pages, meditate, eat perfectly, work without distraction, journal before bed, for a day, maybe 2. Everything goes exactly as planned. Then life happens. You oversleep, you miss a workout, you skip your reading, and suddenly, a dangerous thought appears. I've already failed, so you quit. The Stoics would have called this a failure of judgment, not a failure of discipline, because one missed day never ruins a habit. The decision to stop does. Modern psychology supports this idea. Researchers who study long-term behavior change consistently find that successful people aren't those who never break their routines. They're the people who recover the fastest. They don't waste energy feeling guilty. They don't spend a week waiting for Monday. They simply begin again, immediately. The Stoics practiced this long before science explained why it works. Every evening, the philosopher Seneca reflected on his actions, not to punish himself, not to dwell on his mistakes, but to ask one simple question: how can I do better tomorrow? Notice the difference. He wasn't chasing perfection. He was pursuing progress. That's the mindset that rebuilds discipline. Because discipline isn't measured by how many perfect days you have. It's measured by how quickly you return after an imperfect one. Imagine 2 people trying to rebuild their lives. The first misses one workout and gives up for the month. The second misses one workout, then trains the next day. A year later, they are living completely different lives. Not because one was more motivated, because one refused to let a mistake become an identity. This is the hidden power of consistency. Small actions seem insignificant in the moment. Reading 10 pages, taking a 20-minute walk, writing for half an hour, choosing water instead of another sugary drink. None of those actions will transform your life today, but repeated hundreds of times, they quietly reshape your future. James Clear describes this as the power of tiny improvements. The Stoics simply lived it. They understood that greatness is rarely the result of one extraordinary effort. It is almost always the result of ordinary actions repeated long enough to become extraordinary. So if you're waiting for the perfect day to begin, stop waiting. If you failed before, begin again. If you've broken promises to yourself, make one promise today and keep it. Not 10 promises, one, because discipline isn't built by doing everything. It's built by doing the next right thing, again and again, until consistency is no longer something you force. It's simply who you are. If this message helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you're committed to rebuilding your discipline, subscribe to Human Code. Every week, we combine timeless philosophy, psychology, and practical strategies to help you become mentally stronger, more focused, and more resilient in a world designed to distract you. Remember this: you don't become disciplined when life gets easier. You become disciplined when your decisions become stronger than your excuses. Every choice you make today is shaping the person you'll be tomorrow. Choose wisely. Choose consistently. Because the life you've been waiting for is waiting for the version of you that refuses to give up.